Daddy seldom complains. His emotions he'll hide. All his aches and pains stays up in his head about what must be done. Taking no time off. Daddy stays on the run. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear, because anytime I need him I know Daddy's right here.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, it's just my dad. My dad. My dad.
Moving through the streets with swagger and ease. Often works 2 jobs to take care of our needs. Taking it all in stride. Daddy seldom complains. His emotions he'll hide. All his aches and pains stays up in his head about what must be done. Taking no time off. Daddy stays on the run. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear, because anytime I need him I know Daddy's right here.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, it's just my dad. My dad. My dad.
Moving through the streets with swagger and ease. Often works 2 jobs to take care of our needs. Taking it all in stride. Daddy seldom complains. His emotions he'll hide. All his aches and pains stays up in his head about what must be done. Taking no time off. Daddy stays on the run. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear, because anytime I need him I know Daddy's right here.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, it's just my dad. My dad. My dad.
Moving through the streets with swagger and ease. Often works 2 jobs to take care of our needs. Taking it all in stride. Daddy seldom complains. His emotions he'll hide. All his aches and pains stays up in his head about what must be done. Taking no time off. Daddy stays on the run. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear, because anytime I need him I know Daddy's right here.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, it's just my dad. My dad. My dad.
Moving through the streets with swagger and ease. Often works 2 jobs to take care of our needs. taking it all in stride. Daddy seldom complains. His emotions he'll hide, all his aches and pains. Stays up in his head about what must be done, taking no time off. Daddy stays on the run. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear, because anytime I need him I know Daddy's right here.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, it's just my dad. My dad. My dad.
Moving through the streets with swagger and ease. Often works 2 jobs to take care of our needs, taking it all in stride. Daddy seldom complains. His emotions he'll hide, all his aches and pains. Stays up in his head about what must be done, taking no time off. Daddy stays on the run. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear, because anytime I need him I know Daddy's right here.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, it's just my dad. My dad. My dad.
Moving through the streets with swagger and ease. Often works 2 jobs to take care of our needs, taking it all in stride. Daddy seldom complains. His emotions he'll hide, all his aches and pains. Stays up in his head about what must be done, taking no time off. Daddy stays on the run. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear, because anytime I need him I know Daddy's right here.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, it's just my dad. My dad. My dad.
Moving through the streets with swagger and ease. Often works 2 jobs to take care of our needs, taking it all in stride. Daddy seldom complains. His emotions he'll hide, all his aches and pains. Stays up in his head about what must be done, taking no time off. Daddy stays on the run. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear, because anytime I need him I know Daddy's right here.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, it's just my dad. My dad. My dad.
Moving through the streets with swagger and ease. Often works 2 jobs to take care of our needs, taking it all in stride. Daddy seldom complains. His emotions he'll hide, all his aches and pains. Stays up in his head about what must be done, taking no time off. Daddy stays on the run. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear, because anytime I need him, I know Daddy's right here.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, it's just my dad. My dad. My dad.
Moving through the streets with swagger and ease. Often works two jobs to take care of our needs, taking it all in stride. Daddy seldom complains. His emotions he'll hide, all his aches and pains. Stays up in his head about what must be done, taking no time off. Daddy stays on the run. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear, because anytime I need him, I know Daddy's right here.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, it's just my dad. My dad. My dad.
Hey y'all, good morning and welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I am your host, as always, Sabir Ali. Yeah, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A little late getting started this morning. I'm actually in Orlando with the family on a little vacay. Yeah, the daughter came down and granddaughter came down, and we took a trip on up here to Orlando. Man, this Airbnb is banging. Yeah, it's really nice. It's like we even have an extra bedroom. It's like several bedrooms, and then we have a nice pool out in the back, screened in. You know, we have screening around the pool, safety net, and all that kind of stuff. But it's a really nice place. It's got a little pool table, and this slate pool table. It's not bad. It's not the best service, but it's even. Yeah, it's even. Um, Air hockey game. What's the football? The little thing where you turn that. So it's here. It's comfortable, very spacious, very peaceful. I'm just doing some detoxing from the last few years. I've made a decision that this would be my year of retirement. Yeah, I decided I'm going to go ahead and retire. Pursue more activity with Daddy's Right Here, and you'll be seeing a promo for that soon. Going on some charitable websites. Start raising some funds to, eventually get a building here in Florida. Looking forward to that. LLC, Aleem. The promo for that should be out within the next 1 to 2 weeks, and that's Aleem LLC, but it's Aleem Art Work. So you're going to see some customized artwork coming out from apparel to accessories. Yeah, you're going to see some things. You're going to see some of my original artwork. You're going to see some sublimation stuff, man, and some print work that you're not going to find anywhere else. You're not. You're going to find some items with the Lean LLC that are one of a kind. When I say one of a kind, is it can't be duplicated because I'm a graphic artist, I'm a freelance artist, and I'm also a commercial artist. So you're going to have gear, man, that is only you who are going to have that item. Only you, right? So when I get creative and I want to snatch up a pair of sneakers and I want to get busy with the brush and pen, know that it's made with love. Yeah, it's made with love, and you are going to be the only one with it. So stay tuned for those things, man. But yeah, the goal right now, the beginning of the year, next year, is to have a leased or purchased or mortgaged property. Yeah, that's the goal. It's a lot of things happening, but I've decided to that this is going to be the year for me. It's been a long, grueling 30 years of being in the service, and I just want to, I want to go when it's time to go, but I want to go doing some things, man, or continue to contribute to the joy and happiness of others. Yeah, listen, that's what I do. I didn't bring my coffee, so I got this instant version of Bustelo, and I'm drinking that, and it's very, very the same as every instant coffee. I haven't tasted an instant coffee yet, except for those packets. Don't get me wrong. You had that organo or whatever that stuff was called. That was a different flavor. And then you have this mushroom based coffee out that I've tasted that is different. But all the other instant coffees, they all taste the same, and they don't have the same benefits as those other coffees supposedly have. I don't know. It's not been my experience, but I need some coffee. So anyway, earlier this week, I had I did a post on Instagram regarding uh, Black unity, um, and I went on this. Yeah, it was a rant. Although it was a rant, it was what was on my spirit at the time, and it remains on my spirit. How we talk to and treat each other, and we continue to point fingers in directions other than towards us. Um, and that's very significant to the growth and development of our children, the betterment of our communities, when we're not taking ownership for our poor, bad behavior. When you don't take responsibility for those things, how do you expect those who are looking in your direction to take responsibility for your things? I mean, for the things that they do. It doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. Many parents have allowed their children to run their households, to do as they damn well please, to run their mouths any kind of way they want to without feeling the consequence of the parental direction, the redirection. Because you're so concerned about, you know, Department of Children and Families and all these other organizations that don't support, they don't do anything from the families. They don't. They don't. I've had an interaction, with the folks down here in Florida because of, some familial things. They've not supplied any kind of help, and that's been across the board. Even up north, it's the same thing with Department of Child Services and things like that. What they do is they respond to a call. They don't confirm or verify the call. They don't validate the call. It could be any damn body call, and then they show up at your house, and with so-called investigative methods, which is just really just desecrating of one's humanity,
They have no guidance in terms of what it means to investigate. The investigation begins from the time you get the call to the time you enter the community to the time you walk up the walkway to the door. That's your investigation. It gives you a very clear picture of what household behavior you're going to be looking at. Period. You just look at those things and then you come into the home and you see things there. I had the woman say to me, and she was there for something unrelated to the home, and she began to ask me about, this. She was, understanding that I have a small child, and does that child have, its own sleeping? And I had to check her, like, oh, well, first of all, you're not even here for that. But if you're standing right here in the living room, you see a high chair. How many homes do you go in and there's a high chair for the child? So that's the first sign of some intelligence belonging to the parent or parents, whoever the caretaker may be. Then, if you look, you also see other kind of toys. You know, then you see a play pen, not a crib. This is a play pen. You see that there. So you see things around the home. You see the home is neat, it's tidy, it doesn't reek of weed and other uh, lewd, lascivious kind of conduct. It doesn't. You don't have any of that. You got welcome with a hello. You didn't get met with a growl and a hiss. You got met with a hello. How are you? Yeah, come on in. I know why you're here. And but they only come and take. They would take your children at the drop of a hat, put them somewhere with someone who they think is going to benefit the well being of the child. And that is not the case. In over 75% of the cases, the people who take kids in are taking kids in so they can get the paper. Plain and simple. That's not a better situation. It's more traumatic when you do that, right? So when you're investigating, you should be investigating the whole thing. Was this isolated? Was this pattern? Is this pervasive? What really took place? What kind of help? And this is where they fall short. There's no help. There's no help. There's no help. The only help you're going to get is for the child to be removed from the home and or for you to be arrested. That's what the end result is. That's not help. It's not saving the children. It's not bettering the children. That's another Jedi mind trick that we've been convinced of. They were asked numerous times, so what help can you give to the child who is in need? Like, oh, well, we don't have any. And see, everything is based on a knee-jerk reaction to a political narrative. That's what it comes down to. It comes down to nothing else. It's a political narrative, and that's what the response is to. You can't have something that's supposed to represent, that's supposed to be representative of, helping, aiding the betterment of the family. You don't have anything to offer. And I can say that because I've seen more than one investigator. It's been the same pattern of behavior from 3 to 4 different investigators. They come with the exact same thing. The exact same thing. We continue to complain about education systems. Well, you look at the education system, regardless of where it is, the education is not sufficient enough for children to thrive. It's only part of the political narrative. You go through this process and you get this piece of paper in order for you to be able to access the other things that are available, which makes you productive. It's about being producers. So you produce for those who you work for. But we complain about what's in the books, what's not in the books. That's not going to change. That's not going to change. What's in our school books are not going to change. You're still going to get the same thing unless you choose to abandon everything that exists within these systems. You will continue to, complain. There's no sense in complaining. That's what it is. You can march, you can protest, you can do all the things that you want to do and think that there's going to be a change in the education system, and it's not. Doesn't matter. If you go to the most affluent communities, the most poor and impoverished of communities, you're still going to get the same content. But why is that relevant? Where is it relevant for the betterment of a human being? Think about it. All these things we continue to look at and we continue to complain about that have been in place forever. Yes, there have been some minor changes, but the change comes so slow and it will continue to drip like a band-aid on a bullet wound. It will continue to ooze and seep. And in the meanwhile, decades are going past and we're still sitting down complaining. And the condition in our communities, in our families, within ourselves is still stagnant. It's still stagnant. It's not going anywhere. It's staying just where it is. We're diverted by so many things. And that's the idea. Keep them diverted. And that's for every American. It's not just for blacks. It's for every American. Continue to keep Americans diverted from what's really happening. That's the truth. And everybody knows that that's the truth. There's America and then there's Americans. We keep labeling what's America with what really belongs to Americans and vice versa. Right? America is a corporation. It's a corporation. It's a business. Americans are the people who have these things imposed upon us every day that take our liberties away, that continue to seek to control us as a people. Control us as a people. When we're the ones putting these folks in office, we've allowed it to be reversed on us. And because we've allowed the reversal of the role of Americans in America, we continue to be faced with the things that we're faced with. Liberties taken from us, women's rights and things like that being tread upon. It's nobody's responsibility but the individuals, but it all begins with us, those of us who put them in office. That's what our responsibility is. We've gotten it twisted and we've allowed it to be as such today, and yet we still complain. When it's a simple solution. It's a simple solution to things, but you just don't pursue the simple solution. You fall prey to the narratives, stay divided, stay at each other's throats, and keep thinking that you're winning. But what are you winning? That's the real question. What are you winning? Where's the win? I see a whole lot of L's. I don't see a whole lot of winning, right? When you look at how many people you put in office because they're of a particular political party, what has been the benefit to the community? Look at the community you live in. What has that politician changed in your community? They're giving out paint, trees. They're still doing that. They were doing that 60, 70 years ago. Giving you paint so you can put your address on the wall, so you can put your address on the curb. Yeah. And you feel happy about that. You know, giving you paint so you can paint the front of your house so we can look like a work of art as opposed to a community. You know what I'm saying? They start giving you these things that have no relevance to the betterment of the community, for a community to be safer. None of those things happened, right? But then you go into communities and you see these houses all painted different colors. There's no order. There's disorder. There's chaos. There's individualism, right? We weren't taught how to be uniform and consistent. And we even balked at the idea of having uniformity in schools, right? Again, off focus. You're not staying on track. You're not staying on focus. Why do we need to send our children to school with all these flashy clothing and gear and all this other stuff so they can outdo one another? You're not going there for that. You're going there to take care of your educational responsibilities and take you behind home. Real simple. It's not a fashion show. It's enough swagger, posturing, and all that stuff that's going to go on naturally when you have individuals thrust together, you know, for any kind of event. It's going to happen that way. But it all comes down to Unity is based on what happens in the home, the values and the beliefs that you instill within your child and your significant other. If you have somebody who is living in the house, it's your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or whatever, you still have a responsibility there as well, right? If you have two people who are feeding each other the same shenanigans of, the man done put us down, the man keep his foot on my neck, that kind of weak mindset, then you're going to have a community that's established as such. When you have parents who talk to each other with total disrespect and disregard, that trickles down to the children. Therefore, their relationships are as such. They don't see the respect. They don't see how to problem solve. And many of our children don't know how to problem solve. Want to fuss and fight and argue back with you. Listen, I'm 60, almost 64 years old, and I still rarely use profanity in my mother's presence. In her presence. In her presence. She has her own perspective about things. That's my mother. I listen to her perspective. There's no sense in going back and forth. That's her perspective. I need to respect that. But we don't have that in a lot of homes. Going back to where my flow went. You have all of these folks who continue to say that they have the best interest of the child, and they don't. They don't. The best interest of the child doctrine happened way back. If you watch my film, the Fatherhood Chronicles, Words from the Wise, you'll see that. Have the whole outline that it was supposed to move to from the best, the tender years. The tender years where it was back in 18. I forget what the exact year was, but it's in the film. Back to the 1800s, where the tender years were considered years where the child was under, I think, 7 years, under the age of 7 years old, and the child should be with the mother. Then it moved into the best interest of the child, as opposed to the tender years, and those years being restricted to the one parent. Right? So just think if it was restricted to one parent and they called that the tender years, and the one parent who was awarded custody of a child was deceased, then where would that child go? Because it wasn't in the best interest of the child. Where did we going to send the child? So that means that the child would actually wind up going with a woman family member. It would have to go to a woman family member as opposed to the biological father, which was insane in itself, right? So they figured, well, wait a minute. The best interest of the child is what we need to begin to look at. But how is it we have the best interest of the child doctrine that's supposed to precede in all of our judicial court systems, right, in regards to the familial structure? But it doesn't take place that way. In Pennsylvania, especially in Philadelphia, you have family court judges who are previously criminal court judges. You have one particular judge who was a criminal judge for about 15, 20 years in Philadelphia. And then he ran for family court judge. And you guys don't see anything wrong with this system. It's a system that you allow to be in place because you want to stand firm on a political party instead of standing firm on the purpose, the role of that individual in office. How do you put a criminal court judge, a long-standing criminal court judge, mind you, who sent a lot of people unnecessarily to prison, now you want to put him in family court? Family court is not a court that has the best interest of the child or the family at all. Their best interest is state money. That's what their best interest is. State money. Right? Because they recoup funds. And again, this is illegal what they do. It's illegal for them to do this. It's illegal for them to go after money that was awarded to the supportive parent, the caretaking parent, right? It's illegal for them to go to the father and say, hey, this person received benefits. Well, they received benefits based on what? An eligibility requirement that was met. They met the eligibility requirement, right? The eligibility requirement was that you have a father. Well, I don't know what's happening why y'all don't have a connect here. I still see that I'm live, but I don't know y'all can hear me. Good morning, everybody. So you have to look at where this is illegal, and it's becoming more and more spoken about the illegal process of collecting monies from fathers and locking fathers up for not paying child support. But it's a whole nother thing there. But where I was going with that was we have to start looking at what's happening in the home. There's no help coming. There's no help coming. Let's first understand that. There's no help coming from anywhere, from anyone. Federal, state, local, it's no help coming. Right? There's no system out there that's helping. Because it shouldn't have to be a system in place to help first and foremost. There's the family system, which is not supposed to be connected to any law other than that between you and God. You're responsible to educate your child. That's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to educate yourself. It's not the responsibility of the federal government to come along and give you money because you want to be irresponsible with your conduct. Sure, people need. But why do you need? Let's address the fact of why do you need? Why are you in need? I've been to a lot of restaurants and I see a lot of other places and I see help wanted signs. Why are you in need? That's the first thing. And if you are in need, what are you doing to take yourself from that position so you don't have to? Why have you become complacent with allowing an entity to provide for you something that you should be going out and earning yourself? There are situations where it happens. I get that. My mother was in one of those situations. She raised us well, but it was temporary. She separated from my father. She looked for a job. She got a job. She let that stuff go and she worked. So let's stop acting like, people can't come up out of circumstances that they're in. See, that's my conservative side, because I'm not going to keep giving you and giving you and giving you and giving you. And I don't see you doing anything but taking it and running with it. And you're not being responsible with it. You're running around with designer clothing when your children are eating ramen noodles. Where's the reality in that? Come on, if you came for soft talk, that's not what this show does. And y'all know that. I'm not going to sit here and co-sign your stuff. There's vocational programming out there. There's opportunity out there. You can get an LLC in the drop of a hat, and you can be doing hair at home, right? You can start if that's what you do. You spend all this money getting your hair done. You know how to do all your little those things you do to do weaves and all that kind of stuff. You know how to do all those things. That's a lucrative business. It's a lucrative business, but you rather take it and use that business to pad an income of federal subsidies, and that's how you live. When there's people out there who legitimately need it, they can't get it. They have to go through all kind of hoops and everything to try to get this, because you done tainted the water. You've tainted the water. See, we have to start looking at a system that we've created. The system does what it does. We've created a system with all these barriers from people who are really in dire need of services, who are really in need of help, to a system that is overwhelmed. It's no money. There's no money coming into that. We didn't get anyone. So now you want to go down to the city hall. You want to go up to the Capitol and you want to complain. We need money. No. What we need is responsible acting and living adults. That's what we need. We need people to stop acting like children, right? And take responsibility. You made the conscious decision to sit home and make a whole bunch of children and then then want to be there. Fine. If you want to be there for your children, control the situation. Take some level of responsibility where you just don't sit back and just keep letting it just, one after the next, and you can't come up out of a situation. You put yourself in a deeper hole. I'm telling you like it is. And then we have all these single parent homes. Come on. We hate for somebody else that don't look like us to say it. We call that racist when somebody else that don't look like us say it, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Come on, y'all. Walk through the community. How many fathers are in the home? How many fathers are trying to be in the home? How many fathers are being pushed out of the home by the bad behavior of the mother? Come on. You don't want to hear that. See, that's the problem. We don't want to hear the truths. We want to debate the truths. Oh, I know I'll get some backlash for what I said. I don't care. I have seen it all of my life. All of my life. Some of my closest friends when I was coming up as a teenager, right, who were older than me, who had children, the father wasn't in the house. The father wasn't in the house. They had a child. They weren't working. By choice, they weren't working. It's not they couldn't find a job. They weren't working because they chose not to. Because it was easier to wait for number 2, number 3, number 4. It was easier. It was easier. We have to look at what it is that we're creating. I'm sick of hearing about, slavery and all this. I'm sick of hearing about it. I'm sick of hearing about it. Every damn body's ancestor was not a slave. So let's stop saying that. Because every African, every Indian was not taken from their land, and then that's the lineage. Stop saying that. Some of our ancestors were the sellers of Africans into slavery. You want to accept that one? Huh? No, you don't. You only want to be able to point fingers somewhere else. But how many of us come from lineage of kings and queens, as we say? And they were the ones who were actually selling their own people into slavery. No conversation about that. No discussion about that. We don't want to have that conversation because it's easy to sit back and keep blaming. We ourselves are a very intricate part on why we continue to be in the condition that we are. But we don't want to have that conversation. Now, brother, now I'm not. Now I'm your brother. I wasn't your brother when I had when I was having a different opinion, right? Same cause, different opinion. Like, I don't want better for us as a people. I don't want to see our folks, unite and our folks, our kids, go out and do what it is that they need to do to be educated, right? To be a part of the fabric of this country, right? No, I'm not. My children have not been, and my child, my recent child, will not be brainwashed with that kind of nonsense. You're totally responsible for wherever it is that you're going in life. I stood in my own way of progress. And when I decided to shake off the boy and get away from the lifestyle that I was living many, many years ago, right? It's many, but it's not many. But the point is, I made a conscious decision. I said, well, wait a minute. Ain't nobody keeping me back but me. Nobody wants to say that to themselves. You wake up every day, twist one up and go walk the street, and that's your productivity. And then you want to blame somebody for why you walk around in a state of oblivion because all you want to do is get high every day because you want to blame somebody for your condition. Where's the rationale there? No, I'm sorry. I'm not the guy. I'm not the dude. I'm not the one to sit back and want to keep having these old cute conversations because I want to spare people's feelings. You're not. Listen. We are forging a path of pure ignorance for our children. Call it anything you want to call it. We keep saying how we can't talk to the youth. Well, it starts in the home. Can't talk to the youth, talk to the parent of the youth. Help the parent of that youth out. Support the parent who is struggling with teaching that child right conduct. You got to go there and try to support the child. Okay, you can't talk to him. Why can't you talk to him though? Because you want to talk at him? You don't want to hear him out? There's a reason why people do what they do. There's a reason. Why do I act this way? Why do I feel this way? What can you, as my mother, as my father, as my Uncle Bob, as my cousin Frank, what can you do to help me? Because this is just how I see the life. I don't see anything better. You as an adult don't see anything better. You as an adult sit back and complain about the very same things that your youth are complaining about, yet you provide no viable solution to that youth in your own household, and you sit there and complain in front of the television, and where the hell is their hope for a better life? Other than blunts and mollies. You set that example. You set that tone when you sit back and do nothing. And then you think, who's going to come and save you? The president of the United States? The mayor of your city? That's your damn responsibility. They run a government. They don't run families. That's your responsibility. So when I keep looking at these people who have been these self-professed so-called black leaders, leaders of what? When you say black leader, what exactly are you talking about? Right? Sure, we have all these different lists of these leaders, but what are you looking to be led to? Led away from? You have to ask yourself that. You need somebody to lead you where? Right? To the school that your child goes to, so you can know who the teacher is? The teachers are? What do you need? What leadership do you need? You need somebody to tell you what? You have a leader, God. Who you need to lead you somewhere? And then complain when they lead you in a direction that was unintended. It's easy to live that kind of life of blaming other people for why your condition is the way it is. Come on, people. You made a decision, right, to get involved with a person who was irresponsible. You saw the signs. Now you expect this irresponsible person to be actively involved in the life of their child when they weren't actively involved in the life of the child with the person who they had a relationship with before you. They don't go see their children. They talk badly about the other parent. You don't never see that child with them in your home, in your company when y'all go out. Why do you think that your child would be any different? Think about it, but you don't think about it. You're so arrogant to believe that, well, that was with her. Well, that was with him. I'm not them. Well, no, you're not. But the behavior is still the same. The behavior is still going to be the same. Or you hook up with somebody who has a criminal lifestyle, or somebody, the only time that you ever see them is in the club. You don't see them in the church, in the masjid, in the synagogue. You don't see them in none of those places. You see them in the club. Come on, what do you expect to get out of this situation? What kind of parent do you really think that that's going to be? I'm in the club on Fridays and Saturdays. I don't have time for no outings with no child. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take care of the child. I'm a man. I'm going out. That's what you hooked up with. You knew that. You knew that. You knew who that person was. Or is, I'm sorry. You knew that. You wanted what you wanted, and you got what you got. You saw the glitter. You saw the shine. You saw the glow. But you didn't see the reality of what you were walking into because you didn't want to. You didn't want to. So all this energy being expelled and dividing yourself from the other parent, keeping the child, in the middle of this battle that you guys continue to fight on the backs of the child. You need to stop it. You need to all grow up. You need to stop acting like 2-year-olds and keep taking your toys and going home when you have a child who needs you to be there for them, to guide them through this world that they live in. You're leaving them with nothing because you can't handle it. Because you can't handle it. Have all these lists of black leaders that I'm looking at on, for instance, and I say so-called because somebody else determined that they're black leaders. They're just, for me, they're people who've achieved, blacks who've achieved things. It doesn't make them a leader. So here on this website, CNN has on here 23 black leaders who are shaping history. Now, again, what are you looking for when you talk about a black leader? These black leaders. So first of all, they're identified as being black leaders. What does that mean to be a black leader? It's not their industry. It's not owned solely by these people, but they're leading what? So they're leading something that they have through many years of work with civil rights and equality and things like that. They've had to honor. So let's look at the first person they have on this list. This is a CNN list. Kamala Harris, 56, first black, first South Asian American, and first woman vice president. Okay. What's the significance of that role? Right? Listen, it's in the eye of the beholder. Period. So she's the first in these things. Okay. What does that mean for me in terms of her being a leader? What does that mean for my daughter as far as her being this so-called leader? What does that mean? See, it's like, where are you trying to be led? Right? Where are you trying to be led? Are you trying to be led to politics? Are you trying to be led to be the first black in a particular thing? Where are you trying to be led to? Rosalind Brewer, 58, Walgreens' next CEO and only black woman to currently lead a Fortune 500 firm. Again, being led where? What makes this a black leader? What makes this a black leader? What are we looking for here? Where are we trying to be led to? Right? The significance is what to my children in terms of their hopes, dreams, and aspirations. Right? So see, you have to look at this. It's the same narrative as school. Right? The same narrative as school. The narrative of school is for you to go through grades, K through 12, complete them. That makes you eligible to be able to get certain jobs. Without those things, you can't get a job. So what happens to the entrepreneur? There are many people throughout history who never went to school, who have paved the way for things that we have today. Many things that we have today. But the question that I'm asking you is, how is this person identified as a black leader, and what history are they shaping today? For who? For who? Where is the relevance to this position to the black community? I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just asking the question. Because if they're listed here as so-called black leaders, what does that mean to us? If this person is something that you have a level of admiration for, are you adhering to the foundation of their growth? Are you establishing something that says, here, this is where they started, this is what I'm working with, this is the direction I'm going to take, because you know what? I want to be a scientist. I want to be a politician. Okay, So, but there's more to that. But if you're using this individual, well, this individual has a blessing that was bestowed upon them by God Himself. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be in that position. That may not be your purpose. Purpose is typically found when you come upon a certain situation, a set of circumstances, right? These people who chose these courses because that's what they desired. Does that make them a leader? Or does it just make them a person who has achieved something that their heart desired? And that the news narrative put it out there so you can believe that, okay, well, we're making progress. I think Malcolm X said it best when he said that you can't pull the knife halfway out of my back and call it progress when you put it there in the beginning. So again, the Jedi mind trick is it's making you think that we have these things that we're making progress. So we're always going to see progresses in the world when you have groups of people who decide we don't want to have this happen anymore, and you see things change. So this is a matter of what? What do we call it? It escapes me at my mind at the moment. But when you start looking at what's being eliminated today in terms of diversity programs, right? So, these things happen because of diversity programs within companies. So the companies now are eliminating diversity programs. So where do you find yourself at now? Where's the relevance of this leader now? If the diversity of a diversity program doesn't exist within that entity, now what? See, those are the kind of things that you have to begin to think of, right? Because if your pursuit is just to be included, then what are you seeking to be included for? For what? It's not going to be anymore. That's going to be history. That's what it says, shaping history. So it's just going to be something that 20, 30, 40, 50, 80 years from now, you'll be able to look on and say, oh, well, this was a part of history. But whose history? Whose history? And why is it relevant? Why should I be reading this and then have this false hope that this is where I'm going to be? That's what it is. I'm sitting here now. I didn't think that I'd be doing a podcast. I'd have a nonprofit. I'd have an LLC. I'd be doing a show on YouTube. I'd be authoring a book. I didn't think all of those things. But does that make me a Black leader? Or it has to be relevant to... I'm confused. Relevant to what? Am I not shaping history when I'm achieving the things that I'm achieving? I'm setting the example for others that you too can do the same thing, that it doesn't cost you anything but to put yourself into it. YouTube is free. Instagram is free. Social media platforms are free. If you are an artist, you can put your music out for free. I'm sorry, what? So where's the history shaping article on the average Joe? My father, my Uncle Frank, taught me how to use my hands, how to fix things, how to build things. At 9, 10 years old, I was exterminating. I was cutting grass. I was working. I was being taught labor. I was being taught how to provide for my family at 9 or 10 years old. And here I am, almost 64 years old, and I'm still doing just that. Did I not shape history? Did they not shape history by my efforts? So why do we keep... I'm confused. And then we have you have the old school leaders, the old school hip hop leaders. Then you have the new school leaders leading where? Where are you going? You can sit on your step and just pick somebody, and you can go in any direction that they're going in if that's where you desire to go. right? Just it's some things that you really need to start thinking about, right? We didn't fell for the banana in the tailpipe. We didn't fell for the Jedi mind trick. We didn't fell for all those things within ourselves that keep telling ourselves that we need something, somebody to lead us out of a condition that we have placed ourselves in. It begins in the home. There is no help coming. The help that is there for you, you fail to use. Whatever you call him, he's right there. And y'all know me. I'm about living a spiritual life. I didn't try the religion and all that. I don't. That's what keeps us divided. All these things. So you make your own connection. You get in alignment yourself with God. That's your go-to source for growth and freedom, prosperity. Not another man, not another woman. It ain't coming that way. There's no help. There's no help. What I'm giving you through my shows is information. It's up to you to use the information to improve your way of living. If you don't use the information, it's just information. It'll always sit there. Nothing will happen. No change will come. It's entirely up to you. But we need to begin there. Just stop the violent stuff. Stop talking to each other disrespectfully. Right? Stop thinking that you can bully people into submission, that they're going to think the way that you think. Stop getting online and calling people all kind of coons and Uncle Toms and all kind of stuff because they desire to vote for another candidate that you choose not to vote for, just because this candidate over here, assumedly, supposedly, according to what the narrative is worse off than the other. You know how stupid you sound? Neither of them have the greatest of histories. But when it comes to the betterment of the family, to things that are good for Americans, right? Who is the best candidate? That's what you look at. But you can't look at those things because you're too caught up in what some damn body else is telling you. Who somebody else is telling you should vote for. Who somebody votes for, again, is none of your damn business. That's like asking me what color drawers I got on. That's none of your damn business. If I see a candidate as one who I feel, I don't listen. How many companies? And again, I said this before. How many companies do you patronize? Do you buy product from who don't like you? It doesn't matter whether somebody likes you or not. They don't have to like you. We have to learn to respect one another. You buy from Nike. Does Nike respect you? Do they care about you? How do you know? Does it matter? No. You want your product. I don't want to be your damn friend. I need you to be respectful when you encounter each other, regardless of whether you like me or not. I don't need you to like me. We sound like 5-year-olds. Oh, you don't like me. Well, if you're not his friend, I'm not her friend. We're not friends. You sound like children. Oh, well, they're racist. How the hell you know? Maybe we try to make every damn thing race. Sometimes it's just pure damn stupidity. And you just put a label on it because it's more comfortable for you. Come on. The hate exists within us as a people, period. That's humanity, period. Doesn't matter the race. We've allowed these narratives to divide us because that's what you want. And you fall prey to it. You're a grown-ass man and woman. You can't make a decision on your own. You got to listen to what other people tell you. You got to fall prey to other groups. That's on you. But don't sit down and point at other people when they choose not to follow that lead on that. Hey, man, listen. I don't know what happened on Instagram. I still see people active and it's still showing live, but the feed for whatever disconnected from. Well, no, I don't know what happened here because Instagram is not connected to my platform on StreamYard. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. But as always, I appreciate you guys, man. You can be doing anything else on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock than listening to me. I just had this on my chest and I needed to follow up, with it because, it's not making any sense, man. This world is not getting any better. And I'm just sick of hearing the complaints. I'm sick of hearing the attacks upon people, especially when it comes to politics. Look around your damn community. Some of y'all have had the same politicians in office 20, 30 years and doing nothing. You have more abandoned houses, especially up in Philly. You got communities that are like non-existent. And then you want to, you want to give them hand claps and all kind of applause when they build a strip mall. A strip mall doesn't bring money to communities. Strip malls average what, 6 to 8 stores? Those 6 to 8 stores employ how many people? Huh? Most of those stores don't employ more than one person. Most of those stores are registered businesses, and it's one business member. Everybody else who comes in there is paid under the table. They're a family member, but the business is registered as having